Simmons and all of that other stuff. You know what I'm focused on? What the hell happened to...
What's up, y'all? Flan Speaks back for video. I wasn't even going to speak on this because I gave my reaction last night and everything, but this morning, listening to talk radio local and national, I saw many people have takes that are similar to what these guys are going to get into. It is mostly surrounding who is more to blame, Ben Simmons or Doc Rivers, and I'm going to use them and the perspective given by Magic Johnson versus the perspective of Stephen A. and Max Kellerman to support my my point. All right.
Across the river. That's what I'm focused on. Brooklyn, stand up. KD, Kyrie, James Harden.
Sir,
Molly.
thank you for coming to the East Coast for a hot second
man.
for us. You'll be with us the entire show.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, too, my brother. Well, you know, you called, bro. I'm here, man.
Interesting. Like the early thing I want to point out is the differences between the way an athlete looks at who's to blame versus the way these guys, these sports writers who never played, who just create narratives do. Right? Athletes, you got to understand, they're the ones out there that have to perform and they have to make it happen. So they start to develop a sense of accountability, especially the greats like Magic Johnson versus like the narrative people, you know, who are looking for a story.
Oh, man. And
I feel you.
Good to see you, Max.
You too, Magic, always.
And dressed for the occasion. Guys, we got a lot to talk about. Stephen A.
There's those who write about history and those who make history. This is interesting.
Let's do this. We ready? We ready?
Oh, hell
okay.
yeah,
You want to start in the East Coast? Because I can do that. All right.
Let's do that.
We start with last night's elimination game. The Hawks were too much for the Sixers and advanced to face the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. This series has been all about Trae Young and Joel Embiid. Embiid putting up 31, 11, and 3, but it wasn't enough. Ben Simmons, meanwhile, struggled. 5 points, 8 boards, and 11 assists in that pivotal play where Simmons turned down a scoring opportunity inside and passed the ball to Thibault. Joel, talk to me.
I don't know how to say it, but I thought the turning point was just, we had an open shot, and we made one free throw, and we missed the other, and then they came down and scored.
Just real quick, one thing on Embiid, like I really feel sorry for Joel Embiid more than probably anyone, because just from the psychological standpoint, he is doing the most he can to not just call out Ben Simmons like mostly anyone would, And I believe Joel Embiid after Game 5, he pretty much had checked out mentally. And that Game 6 and 7 were lost in large part because Embiid started going off script. What Embiid is looking for is for someone for Ben to either do his part or for the coach to either make Ben do his part. Embiid doesn't want to have to be the one to do it. So what happens is that Embiid first, he has no respect for Ben Simmons offensively. That's number one. But what happens is when the coach doesn't fix Ben Simmons or get Ben Simmons to do what he can't get him to do or what he believes Ben should automatically do, he starts to lose a little respect in the coach and in the system, and then he starts to go off script, especially once they lost a few games. And I believe that's a big part of where Joel Embiid went wrong. Doc, the whole time, whatever it is with Ben, he probably realizes nothing much he can get going with him as far as shooting the ball or making him aggressive. Though Doc was very hard on Ben in Game 4 or the Game 3 that we Game 2, that we had won, where Ben actually scored about 18 points. All right. But for anyone who thinks that Doc Rivers every game has had to go in on Ben, that's just crazy. But anyway, let's get to that.
And we didn't get a good possession on the other end. And Trae came back and he made a 3. And then from there, down 4. And then it was on me. I turned the ball over and try to, make something happen from the perimeter. But I thought that was a turning point.
Doc, do you think Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now. So I don't know the answer to that.
How telling that was there. He's saying, Sixers, I'm telling you, have every intention on trading Ben Simmons. They actually tried to trade for him earlier in the year for James Harden. That didn't work. So at that point, Doc was stuck with him. The goal now is to keep his stock value high while trying to win a championship. That was this year's goal. And obviously they failed.
Gentlemen, pay attention to these numbers, will you? So, not Doc Rivers' best coaching effort. His fourth straight game, his fourth straight game, 7 losses are tied for the longest such streak in NBA history. His 29 losses.
These people really make these big deals with these narratives. What I say about, I don't even care about what Doc Rivers did before he came to Sixers, but most of those losses actually in the playoffs were due to Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, going down. All right. And I know people want to blame coaches and all of that, but we'll see here. Most of it was for that reason, but whatever.
Losses with an opportunity to clinch a series are the most among all head coaches. Rivers has an NBA worst 341 win percentage in such situations. Magic, you are up first. Who looks worse here? Is it Doc or Ben Simmons?
It was definitely Ben Simmons. Doc doesn't play. So we have to remember Doc has won a championship, so he knows what he's doing. Listen, when you're the second best player on your team and we say, hey, he's a star, he's been an all-star, you got to perform like one. And
exactly. See, that's really the bottom line. Okay, players are going to see it this way. And this is also what Ben Simmons has to do. You have to go out there and actually perform. Listen, Magic Johnson is a man, okay, who's won 5 titles. He's done this 5 times, this thing that they're trying to do, and he's been to others. He's been to about 3 others, I believe. He won 5, and I think he lost 3, okay? So this is a guy, and he understands in that game it's about players going and executing. Coaches can say this, coaches can say that, but Magic Johnson's not going to accept that because he knows damn well that it was about him doing what he had to do for himself. It was not Pat Riley getting Magic Johnson prepared to play. All right.
And Ben Simmons did not do that. He wasn't aggressive. But the Sixers lost this series in Game 5.
Agreed.
They had won Game 5, they would have won this series. But they lost the series when Coach McMillan of the Hawks did that hacker Simmons, and they couldn't go to the free throw line and hit those free throws, and that's where they lost this series. And then he lost his confidence in Game 5 as well, right? And so now it's time for a new destination and a new place for Ben Simmons. It'll be great for him. It'll be great for the organization. Rich Paul's got to go out and do his thing as his agent to get him in a place where he can thrive, get his confidence back. Hopefully there's a star at another team who needs a change of scenery as well, and bring that person into Philly. Fan base loves the Sixers in Philly, and this man can talk about that more than I can. I played against the Sixers twice, so I know that fan base. They love the Sixers, and talk radio this morning is probably talking about getting Simmons out of there. Doc Rivers prepared the team, but he can't shoot free throws. He can't knock down shots.
That's the bottom line. And really, guys who play, they understand that. Like, guys who are out there playing, they are not going to just be putting it on the coach.
First of all, here's the deal. There is no excusing what's going on with Doc Rivers. I love the man personally and professionally. But there have been several collapses on his watch, and this weekend is particular.
That's fine, but we also have to factor in the fact that not only has Doc Rivers, had many collapses, which was also followed by, like, what people don't understand was, okay, that collapse happened last year in the bubble. Let's say you want to put it on Doc Rivers. Okay, the year before, Doc Rivers actually had a Coach of the Year type of performance when he took a talentless Clipper team to the playoffs. When actually after trading Tobias Harris, the best player on that team was Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, and he took that team to the playoffs. Pat Beverly, all right, that you just got to mention that also, all right, to go along with the class. There's been a lot of successes, but what we also factor in is that not only is Doc Rivers collapsed in the last few years, that 76ers have collapsed. All right, so you have, okay, you want to say he's collapsing coach fine, but you're also collapsing players who've done this. All right, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are yet to play perfectly, especially in the second round of the playoffs. This year, I blame Simmons more than Embiid, though Embiid was not good in games 6 and 7.
Because the Los Angeles Clippers won a game 7 and went to the conference finals for the first time in franchise history in Ty Lue's first year. And he did it the last 3 games without Kawhi Leonard. Go look up Ty.
That means absolutely nothing to Magic Johnson, because all Magic Johnson is going to see was Paul George playing better than he did last year. That's what Magic Johnson is going to see. And what Max is about to talk about is Ty Lue's record when he's down. Okay, like I've always said many times, I'm never impressed with guys' records when their back's against the wall. The fact that you lost and put yourself in the hole is just as bad. All right?
Lou, when he's down in the series or when it's on the line. I got you. The point is that you consider what Ty Lue did in year 1 and that Doc Rivers didn't do it in 7 years. And then on the same weekend, you...
Wow, that's unbelievable. But that's what these guys do. You know, they write these narratives. So that's just a story. That's all that is. You know, it doesn't have much to do with anything in reality, because each failure has its own reason behind it. Right? And if Chris Paul is just out for the series, or Blake Griffin is out for the series, and you lose to, you know, superior teams like the Golden State Warriors, you know, who no one was beating, or you lose to teams like OKC, which were more talented than they were, it's like that's really the story. But no, we want to just make it about Doc Rivers and not about those players. All right. And then, you know, but this is the difference between narrative writers and history.
Lose a game 7 to an Atlanta Hawks team most people thought that you were supposed to beat. This is not a good day for Doc Rivers, number 1.
Yep.
But having said all of that, I roll with my man Magic Johnson. Ben Simmons has got to go. He's 24 years of age. He's a star talent.
Right.
And I'm not saying that Ben Simmons should be...
So now you want to play both sides of the coin. That particular thing that you used to say about Max, you know, you don't know what his position is. And all right, here he doesn't want to seem like he's Stephen A. knows the problem is Ben Simmons. All right, because Stephen A. all year has already said that Doc Rivers will never win with Ben Simmons. All right, so if that's your position, that Doc Rivers will never win with Ben Simmons, when your prediction or whatever didn't happen, how's it Doc Rivers now? No, it should be Ben Simmons, because that's what you said automatically. You said, you know, early on. And if it is Doc Rivers, then just tell us how. What exactly did he do?
Given up on because he's some scrub or anything like that. It goes to what you pointed out, Magic. I know Philly.
Yeah.
I worked there for 17 years. I was a columnist for my last time. Let me tell you something right now. That city ain't going to ever forgive him for what they have seen. And here's why. Not just that he missed shots. He didn't take them.
Yeah.
See, when you see the Greek freak in Milwaukee miss or make, he takes them. Ben Simmons is literally scared to shoot the basketball. He gave up a wide open dunk because he anticipated he was going to be fouled and didn't want to go to the free throw line. 34% shooting in the postseason. For anybody who's attempted 70 or more, it's the worst free throw percentage shooting in the history of basketball. And this is a league Wilt Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal played in.
Right.
And they shot better for the free throw line than Ben Simmons. This is very, very bad. And when you take that into consideration, and you combine that with the fact that Philadelphia being a very unforgiving town, and they don't know how to let off and lay off, and they're going to constantly...
Well, that right there is just the stereotype narrative nonsense. That's actually not true at all. Philadelphia is a city where you have different types of fans. You have some irrational fans, and then you have the rest of everyone else. The problem is most of the irrational fans are like they're a vocal minority. That's really what you have. Or they're the ones that are going to call up the radio stations. Like you have certain guys that call the radio stations who you put their name out there, and you know, and like a Mad Mike or something, they'll go by a particular name like that, and then they call consistently all the time, more than the other people who are being rational, and they become the way the city is seen. Like, for example, when Joel Embiid had the little so-called run-in with the fans of Philadelphia last year, when he motioned for them to be silent or something like that, and they tried to, the media here tried to push it that it's Joel Embiid versus the Philly fans, and that's not true. It's Joel Embiid versus a couple of idiots who like to boo in the stands. That's really what it is. But like I said again, with these narrative writers, that's what they do. They just write narratives and they don't let facts get in the way of their stories.
Berate him, and it's mental.
Yeah.
With him.
The Philly fans were very patient with Ben Simmons. All he had to do was just start shooting now, and we'd have forgot about forgiving him for all the not shooting before. So.
I don't believe he can overcome that, Max. In the city of Philadelphia, you got to move him. I'm going to say it right here on national television. Try and get yourself somebody like C.J. McCollum. Bring him.
No, not good enough. Not good enough.
To Philly, send Ben Simmons to Portland, because with all the perimeter guys they have in Damian Lillard, it would work.
That's how bad his trade value has been diminished. Now it's like, can you get C.J. McCollum for Ben Simmons?
It was 4 years, $140 million.
Ben Simmons cannot be fixed in Philadelphia. I agree with you. And by the way, the Philly fans get such a bad rap for riding guys. How were they with Markelle Fultz? When he was going through problems, that city supported him. Any little positive thing he could do, they're doing the same thing for Ben Simmons. The city's behind
Exactly. Stephen A. talking stupid. I agree with that, Max.
him. He just let him down. I think it's over for him. They support him. I think it's over for Ben Simmons in Philly. Can Doc be fixed in Philly? I agree with you both. Ben Simmons got to go. Can Doc be fixed in Philly? Look at what just happened. Look, you're right, Magic. He's already shown he can win a championship. With a big three in a league that didn't have any other big three. They were the only one, got one. Collapsed, more playoff collapses. The stats have been going around, et cetera, et cetera. And I love Doc Rivers. I loved him as a point guard for the Knicks. But we have to be honest about this. You can't play Dwight Howard in that game.
Why don't you play Dwight Howard against a team that you need to out-rebound? Whenever it's playing a guy like Dwight Howard, who you could put together with Maxey to get alley-oops. He's actually the only one doing those types of plays. Why wouldn't you get Dwight Howard when he's a screen setter for many of your guards to open up their game? Like, why would you say you don't play Dwight Howard?
Or Shake Milton. Like, those guys can't see the floor. He went
Why would you not play Shake Milton when Shake Milton won you game 3?
10 deep in a game 7. Think about what was happening in that game early on.
Maxey was struggling, and Maxey and Shake Milton are bench guys. Neither one is consistent enough to pencil one in. You don't have Lou Williams like the other team had, veteran. 6-man. So if Shake is doing what he did all year, which is give us about 14 points, then he would continue to play, be part of the rotation. If he doesn't perform, then you will go with Maxey, and that's what he did. He ended up having to go deeper in the bench because the guy that you had penciled in as the 6-man was inconsistent.
Who were getting
But never let facts get in the way of a narrative.
cooked. Like, this is just coaching stuff. Gallinari was cooking George Hill. Seth Curry was getting cooked by
Well, Gallinari ends up on George Hill because Gallinari is playing on the perimeter. All right, now if you take away Embiid and have him on Gallinari out in the perimeter, then what? Now you have a mismatch down low. So the other option is, okay, you either going big or going small. And it's probably a situation where Doc wanted to speed the tempo up and went small. And that's why that happens. And everyone knows when you go small, you run the risk of that happening to you on the other end. Like, for example, times when the Hawks went small against us. Man, it's our job to take advantage of that. Like, all of that stuff is situational. We will have to look at it to see what happened. We don't know if it was a switch. He's just spouting stuff out there. And like, maybe some of it, you hate to see some of that stuff happen. But in the game,
by Herter, right? And then they're playing a backcourt of Trae Young and Lou Will. You got to punish that. Offensively, you have to. They can't play defense. You got to punish
But with who? Who are you going to punish him with?
Well,
exactly, right? Don't let facts get in the way of a good narrative, Max.
Tobias Harris would be nice if he showed up.
Okay, but that didn't happen.
Actually, Tobias Harris had 22 or 24 points. Like, what do you expect Tobias Harris to have, 40? I mean, it would be nice.
Danny Green hurt His injury,
No doubt,
hurt the Sixers.
Now we come into something that I was saying earlier. You know, the Danny Green injury. Danny Green would have been sticking Kevin Herter, right? And that's true. So but this is the thing with Max. I mean, look how Magic really clears it up for these guys.
So you can't judge Doc Rivers until Danny Green is in that lineup. But this is it. You talked about last season. Doc Rivers wasn't playing against the Denver Nuggets. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George didn't show up in Game 7.
Yeah, exactly.
The Lakers.
But anyway, that's pretty much what I got for that one. Listen, I'll tell you with these guys out here, then one thing I just want you to remember. These media guys will not let facts get in the way of a good narrative. I'm out.